So guys, we just had another action-packed weekend of Championship football. Let's talk about it all. Welcome back to another video on the channel. Now we are heading into the first international break of the season, so we do get a little bit of respite from this chaotic championship season so far, but a lot of talking points to go through in today's video. As always, make sure to get your thoughts in the comments down below. What did you make of your team's performance? Loads going on at the moment with transfer deadline day coming up as well. Before we get into anything though, let's take a look at the updated standings for the Prediction League heading into the first international break of the season. And in the main Prediction League, it is still Hugo Farmer who is leading the way with 58 points. I'm still, battling it up and around there. I'm 4th at the moment, which I'll definitely take at this point. This is how League 1 is looking at the moment, with Josh Pym currently leading the way with 44 points. It's very close in and around the top of League 1 and the bottom of the main Prediction League. And as always, very tight in League 2 as well, with currently Jaden FC leading the way with 42 points. So thank you very much to everyone that has got involved with the Prediction League so far, but without any further ado, let's talk about these matches. And so starting out with the first daily kickoff in the two derbies we had going on this weekend, we saw Bristol City come out on top in this one as they beat Cardiff by 2-1. Now I wasn't sure what I was expecting from this game, but we actually saw Cardiff holding on to the ball fairly well for some spells in this game. We're used to seeing them having like 30% possession or something like that, but Bristol City actually allowed them to have the ball for this one, and they did have a few moments on top in this game. It's just that when Bristol City's moments came, they really took their chances. Obviously, Vyman scores the first one, and towards the end of that first half, Cardiff definitely had a period on top. Bristol City managed to ride that out quite well. There was a goal line clearance from Andy King. Bentley was forced into action a couple times as well. Cardiff's equaliser, there is maybe a little bit of fortune in it. It obviously goes through Bentley's legs. The defender then clears it off the line. It hits Bentley on the back and then bundles into the back of the net. But at that point, I thought that the momentum was with Cardiff and that then they go on to win this game. But fair play to Bristol City, that moment of quality came. Vyman at the back post with such a sweetly hit volley, wasn't it? And ultimately it was a bit of a frustrating one for Cardiff because, I did feel like the endeavour was there for them, but Bristol City just had those two moments of quality where Cardiff just became a little bit unstuck in their final third in this one. And as the second early kick-off, we had Derby playing out a 1-1 draw with Nottingham Forest. This was one of the games this weekend which I managed to correctly predict. I think a lot of you guys in the comments last time also went for a 1-1 draw. Seems to be a popular scoreline in this sort of fixture. Now, Derby started out quite well in this one, like they have with the majority of the matches that they played so far this season. Tom Lawrence, playing as number 9, actually led the line quite well for this one. Lovely strike for the goal, and he had a couple of opportunities to make it 2 for Derby. Now, the referee made some big calls in this one, or maybe a lack of big calls is the best way to put it. Derby obviously had a couple penalty shouts, one particular one for that Joe Worrell handball, which in the Premier League that probably gets given, to be honest with you. But on the flip side of that, there was also that potential sort of Forsyth stamp, wasn't it? Is he falling back? Did he mean it? It's all a bit blurry for that sort of thing. So yeah, a couple big calls there from the referee not to give either of them. Now, it was interesting that Wayne Rooney came out after the match and spoke about Derby's sort of drop off in performance in the second half for most of the matches that we've seen so far this season for them. I don't know if that is sort of like a because it's a fairly old starting 11, maybe there's a bit of an energy drop off, but there's still a lot of youngsters in that side. But the longer it did remain at 1-1, you did feel like Forest would just need that one chance to really get back into it. Roos made an unbelievable save to deny Graben from scoring a really nice flick, but eventually it's Brennan Johnson who steps up with the equaliser. Can Roos do better for it? Probably, yes, to be honest. But the game finished level in the end. Is that going to be enough to keep Houghton in the job over this international break? We'll wait and see, because there are some rumours circulating around Chris Wilder at the moment, aren't they, which are quite interesting. Forest fans and Derby fans, I want to get your guys' view on this one down below. After that, we then had Barnsley playing out a 1-0 draw with Birmingham. I also managed to correctly predict this one this weekend. Now, Barnsley got off to a great start in this match, and what a sweet strike it was by Callum Styles. Bends it beautifully into the top corner. Great way to open the scoring in that one. Birmingham get back into it though. A bit of sloppy defending from Barnsley in this one, but Birmingham really grew into this game, particularly in the second half. If there was one side that was going to go on and win this game, it was going to be the away side. And I have been really impressed with them so far this season, to be honest with you. They continue to keep on surprising me. It just wasn't to be Scott Hogan's day in front of goal, was it? He had a couple of big chances in this one. had a one-on-one and also a header which just went wide. Obviously he seemed to sort of get that confidence back in that Luton game, but in this one sort of reverted back to type. It just wasn't his day in front of goal. But no, a lot of positives to take from that one from Birmingham there, and on another day they probably win that one with the chances they had in the second half. Next up then to Craven Cottage, we had Fulham 3, Stoke City 0. Now from the outside looking into this one, it didn't look like Stoke were awful in this game. There's just levels to this in terms of quality, and I mean Fulham put 3 past them in the end, but it could have been 5 or 6 with the chances they had in this one. They were just carving them apart, and it's just a testament to the quality that they have on the pitch here. I sort of said coming into this one that this will be a real test to see where Fulham are at the moment. Obviously they've been one of the most, if not the most impressive sides in the Championship so far this season, but they'd had it all fairly easy in the games they played, and obviously Stoke got off to a brilliant start to this season. I thought that this would be a real test for them, but in the final third there's just so much quality here. You know, Wilson, Bobby Reid and Mitrovic were causing countless problems throughout the afternoon, and each of them got on the score sheet for this one. Stoke had a bit of a spell in the second half where they had a couple of chances, but apart from that it was one-way traffic for this one, and it could have been 4 with that Mitrovic penalty. You'd normally bank on him putting that away, but not on this occasion. But regardless of that, it didn't matter in the end, and I mean Fulham are looking scarily good. There's an abundance of goals in this team at the moment, and I really can't see who's going to stop them this season. And after that we then had Huddersfield 4, Reading 0. Now what a difference a couple of weeks can make in football. The mood was so low around Huddersfield after that Fulham game, you know. It really looked like they could be in turmoil this season, but you know, fast forward a couple of weeks, they've now won 3 on the trot, and what a performance in this game. Now I know that Reading didn't exactly put up much of a fight in this one, but at the end of the day you can only beat what's put in front of you, and they look great. You know, the last 2 games and the last 2 wins that Huddersfield have been a bit more sort of like a grind really against Preston and Sheffield United, whereas this one was like a dominant, you know, chance after chance being created. They got on the ball, the passing was a little bit more slick and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm sure that Huddersfield fans were absolutely buzzing after this one. I think we're going to pick him out a few times after Huddersfield matches this season, but SORBA Thomas once again stole all the headlines for this one. A goal, and what a goal it was, by the way. He had more in stitches trying to keep up with him, and he also got a couple of assists for this one as well. From Reading's perspective, really worrying stuff here. I know that they are missing quite a few key players at the moment, and you know, even with those players in the squad, it's still quite a thin squad at the best of times, isn't it? But defending really shoddy for this one. Attacking threat was pretty much non-existent, and yeah, worrying that Huddersfield were able to dismantle them with relative ease in this one. But what a way for them to be going into the international break. 4th in the Championship now, mental. After that we then had Hull against Bournemouth, playing out the first goalless draw of the weekend. I think that Hull will take this one really, considering the results they've had recently, to get a clean sheet on the board. They had a couple of chances, but it was definitely the away side who had the better of them, and will be the more frustrated that they didn't leave this one with all 3 points. For Hull City, key performer that I wanted to pick out was Tom Huddlestone for his 2nd debut with the club, rolling back the years and proving that he's still got it at this level. I think 5 tackles in this game, more than anyone else on the pitch. Really good stuff there, both on and off the ball. Bournemouth's perspective, I'm still sort of working them out really under Scott Parker. They've had sort of a mix of results so far. I know that they are unbeaten, but there have been a fair few draws in there so far, haven't there? Probably typical that this one ended 0-0 in the end, after Bournemouth are coming fresh off the back of conceding 6 in midweek to Norwich in the Cup, and obviously Hull, I don't think, had kept a clean sheet up until this point in the season. So yeah, not the most eventful game of the weekend, but decent point for Hull there. Next up then to the second goalless draw of the weekend, Luton playing out a 0-0 with Sheffield United. Now Sheffield United, frustrating in the final third for this one. Only 1 shot on target. That attacking threat still isn't quite there with them, and I know that Slav is notorious for getting off to a slow start to the season, but I do still think they are a bit of a way off for things properly falling for them. In terms of Luton, it did feel like they gave Sheffield United quite a bit of respect in that first half, and when they upped the tempo a little bit in the second, they actually got into some good areas and caused them some problems. They had a goal which was ruled out. I think Luton had the better of the chances in this one. I know that they only had 1 shot on target as well, but Cornick had that one that came off the bar. Adebayo went close with a couple which sort of hit the side netting and stuff like that. Bree had a speculative effort which went wide as well. Luton probably didn't want to overcommit with people going forward, because they'll have had that Birmingham game sort of in the back of their minds. Obviously the positive to take from Sheffield United's point of view is the clean sheet here, but in the final third it does still feel like they're missing something. Next then to the Riverside, we have Middlesbrough against Blackburn playing out a 1-1 draw. Now this is the second time this season that Blackburn have managed to pick up a point away from home after only having one shot on target in the 90 minutes. Now, is that sort of thing sustainable for a full season? Probably not, but you take the points when they come around, don't you? And what a shot on target it was, by the way. Sam Gallagher with an absolute belter of a goal to give Blackburn the lead in this one. Middlesbrough equalised just before half-time with quite a nice goal themselves, actually. Lovely ball forward from Dijksteel into Johnny Howson, who had just managed to stay on side, and then lobs the ball over Kaminski to make it 1-1. After that, Middlesbrough had the better chances in the second half, but ultimately couldn't get anything over the line, and Blackburn managed to grind it out in the end. Not the sort of prettiest performance, but I mean, you take a point away at Middlesbrough, probably don't you? 2 late red cards for each side then meant that each side were left with 10 men come the final whistle. Middlesbrough at the moment are being linked to quite a few players, so it'll be interesting to see what deals they sort of get done and over the line. I also feel like Blackburn, it's going to be quite busy for them these next couple of days as well. Next up then to the Den, we have Millwall claiming their first win of the season as they got past Blackpool by 2-1. Now Blackpool obviously played the majority of this game down to 10 men after Conley was sent off after just 14 minutes. Do I think it was a red card? Yeah, I probably do, to be honest with you. Yeah, there wasn't the most contact in there, but as soon as you're putting your hands on the player who's going through on goal, you're leaving the referee with a bit of an easy decision to make. We saw quite a few of them being given last season in the Championship, if I remember rightly. But from that point onwards, Blackpool were always going to look to play on counter-attacks. That's where their opening goal comes from. Lovely run from Bowler, who skips around about 3 Millwall players before playing the ball into Lavery, who takes his goal well after a bit of a mix-up with the Millwall back line. For Millwall, by no means was it a great performance, but they had those moments of quality which ultimately came up clutch for them. Jed Wallace with a pinpoint accuracy free kick into the top corner. Maxwell had no chance with that one, and then the goal eventually comes in the 90th minute. Blackpool had done well up until this point to sort of see off any real danger, but I thought the defending for this goal was poor, to be honest with you. It's sort of the second ball that comes into the box. It's Jed Wallace with a bit more quality, but I think that 3 of Millwall's biggest players were all unmarked when that ball came in. You know, Ballard, Smith and Cooper were all completely unmarked. Obviously Cooper has a free header, and if there's one player in the Championship you can't leave to have a free header, it's 6'6" Jake Cooper. He puts it into the back of the net, and despite all of Blackpool's endeavour to keep this one at 1-1, Millwall walk away with all 3 points, and really, you know, hopefully for their sake, get their season kick-started now. After that, we then have Preston claiming back-to-back wins in the Championship as we saw Swansea by 3-1. I can't lie, this was probably the most I've enjoyed a football match in quite some time, to be honest with you. It was Swansea, though, who started as the better of the 2 sides, and for the first 20 or so minutes were looking alright. You know, Grimes was controlling the midfield, they were getting on the ball quite a bit. The goal they scored was lovely, brilliant touch by Cullen and a nice finish from Perot, but almost instantly Preston get back into the game, and from that point onwards, when Van der Berg equalises, Swansea literally had 0 attacking intent. You know, they didn't have a shot on target in the second half. After that point, you know, Iverson was pretty much a spectator, and for all the possession that they sort of had, we did a bit of a deeper dive into Swansea's stats in one of the videos we did earlier in the week, where they averaged the fewest amounts of shots per 90 in the league, and after this performance I can sort of see why. They're desperately in need of a little bit more in that final third. But from Preston's perspective, I did feel like Swansea sort of played into our hands for this one a little bit. We really like to play these sides who like to build up from the back and things like that, because it gives us that opportunity to press them and force them into mistakes. Van den Berg took his goal brilliantly. You wouldn't have thought that he was naturally a centre-back, but he's been brilliant playing that right wing-back role so far this season. Emil Rees then gets his goal just before half-time, absolutely smashes it into the back of the net to make it 2-1, and Ben Whiteman makes it 3 from the free kick. Could Bender have done slightly better with the free kick? Possibly. It does come through a crowd of bodies though, and he probably sees that one a little bit late, but I thought North End were well worth this 3-1 victory. It could have been more, to be honest with you, with some of the chances we had. Maguire and Rees were really good together. DJ I thought was excellent. He's really had a good start to the season. I thought everyone put a shift in for North End, to be fair. From Swansea's perspective, really quite poor. Other than that first sort of 20 or so minutes when there were a few promising signs, yeah, they really didn't look good in this one. Next then to QPR, and it was a good win for them this weekend as they saw off Coventry by 2-0. Now this one very much had the feeling of a game of two halves. QPR did have a couple of chances in that first half. Chair went quite close with a free kick, but Coventry definitely had the better of that opening 45 minutes. And if they did get a goal or two, this one probably would have shaped up a little bit different. But second half, QPR really got a grasp of this game, and Lyndon Dykes came off the bench and had pretty much an instant impact. Within a minute of him being on the pitch, he opened the scoring, makes it 1-0, and that second goal, which comes about 10 minutes later, pretty much kills off the game. QPR defenders have just got a knack for scoring goals at the moment, don't they? But this time it wasn't Rob Dickey, it was Johan Barber who made it 2-0, and that really solidifies what has been really a top start to the season now for QPR, because Coventry obviously were no mugs going into this game, who have also started out the season very well. So yeah, good stuff there from QPR, and more good sort of in-game management from Mark Warburton. And that's our last game to talk over. We had West Brom beating Peterborough in the 94th minute thanks to a semi-AJAYI goal. We also had Valérien Ismaël doing his best sort of Jose Mourinho impression at the end and running down the touchline to celebrate with the West Brom fans. It did look like scenes, to be fair, in that away end when that goal went in. But feel a little bit for Peterborough in this one. Obviously, a lot of what we'd come to expect from West Brom in this game. You know, a lot of balls coming into the box, a lot of crosses and stuff like that. By no means was this their best performance of the season so far. It was a bit more of a grind, this one, really. But Pim was kept on his toes throughout the afternoon, but seemingly dealt fairly well with everything that was thrown at him. You know, I thought the West Brom maybe could have been in for a few goals in this one, with Peterborough sort of struggling to defend those crosses coming into the box so far this season, but they seemed to handle them alright. Up until the 94th minute when West Brom had that breakaway, Phillips puts it into the path of AJAYI, who then makes it 1-0, and what a start to the season it has now been for West Brom. Frustrating though from Peterborough's perspective, who was so close to picking up a point. But guys, they were all the matches that took place this weekend in the Championship. As always, do get your thoughts in the comments down below in terms of what you made of your team's performance. In terms of my results of the weekend, few could give it to, but I think I'm going to give it to Huddersfield for beating Reading by 4-0 and climbing into the top 6. Goal of the weekend, there are quite a few contenders, but I really like Callum Styles' goal against Birmingham. Really nice finish. But apart from that, guys, that will now wrap it up for today's video. So if you did go on to enjoy, make sure to leave a like and stick around for some regular Championship content. Apart from that though, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.